Welcome. A landmark law, the Cybersecurity Act 2020, has been passed by Parliament. This new law will punish anyone who publishes indecent images on the internet, especially of women and children. Culprits could be fined from 30,000 Ghana cedis to 60,000 Ghana cedis or face a jail term of up to 25 years. Related to this is the 90-day jail term given to actress and social media sensation Akuapem Polo by an Accra Circuit Court. This is Good Afternoon, Ghana. I'm Francisca Kakrafos, and you can join this conversation on Facebook via Metro News. On Twitter, it's at Metro TVGH, and a number will be displayed. You can send us a WhatsApp message. Please do not call, but stay with us. So we'll start with a report that summarizes all that has happened as far as Rosemond Brown or Akuapem Polo is concerned. Watch this and we'll settle for the conversation after.
Ghanaian actress and social media sensation Rosemond Brown, popularly known as Akuapem Polo, on Monday, June 30, 2020, posted a nude picture of herself and her son on her Instagram page to celebrate her son's 7th birthday. The photo received backlash from many social media users, including some civil society organizations, and Child Rights International took the matter a step further, petitioning the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service to investigate the matter. The Executive Director, Bright Appiah, in a statement said Polo's action amounted to a violation of the welfare principle of the Child's Act and an abuse of her son's right to privacy and dignity. However, following the viral condemnation, the actress came out to defend her action. On July 1, 2020, she apologized for the publication of a nude picture with her 7-year-old son and deleted the picture. On Wednesday, April 14, 2021, conviction of the actress by an Accra High Court. She underwent a pregnancy test while awaiting sentencing. Lawyer Andrew Votia, on her behalf, changed her plea from not guilty to a guilty plea after the trial commenced. The actress was convicted and given a 90-day jail term last Friday, April 16, 2021.
Joining me for this conversation, I have Andrew Kujo Votia. He's the lawyer for Akuapem Polo. I also have lawyer Yao Opong. He's a law lecturer as well. Samida Akon is a private legal practitioner. We'll also be joined by Naomi Gold. She's a nudist and a photo model. And Samson Ladi Ayenene, a private legal practitioner. Welcome back. I'm Francisca Kakrafos, and this is Good Afternoon, Ghana. We'll go straight to our conversation. Joining me is lawyer Yao Opong. Good to see you again, and thanks for coming.
Good to be here.
You look very dressed up to date. It's a Monday morning, busy day for you.
It means the pocket is dry. So
really? You don't look it?
You don't advertise it.
But thanks for coming, and it's good to see you again.
I like the ambience here as well.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Metro TV will do our best.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Lawyer Opong, I'd like to start from Section 280 of the of Act 29. That's the Criminal Offences Code. And what I'll do is I'll just ask my producer to display it, and then I'll just read a bit of it and then pose my question to you. 280, Section 280 of the Criminal Offences Act says, whoever publishes or offers for sale any obscene book, writing, or representation shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. I'll end there, and I'll put the question to you. What is the law concerned about? Is it nudity? Is it obscenity?
Well, thank you very much. But if you may permit me, for the sake of the viewers, and I know there are many, just in a few minutes, just give a chronology of what has led that to where we are now. I fortunately have in my hands a copy of the proceedings from day one when the lady appeared in court to the last day when judgment was given. And I'll just use 2 minutes to summarize it. Yes, I have the certified copy here. So on 7th October 2020, the lady now referred to as Rosemond
Brown.
Aled Brown, Akuapem Polo.
Yes.
Yes, was brought before the court, circuit court, on certain charges. I will come to the charges. On that day, the prosecution was ready. The accused person was absent because they could not reach her to appear in court. Then on the 13th of October, the case was called again. The accused person was absent. On 9th November 2020, the case was called. Now the accused person was present. Now, so the prosecution also brought an amended charge sheet containing some amended charges or counts. Now the counts that were finally filed before the court are here. I'll try as much as possible to make it quick.
Okay.
So count 1, statement of offense. Publication of obscene material, contrary to section 280 of Criminal Offences Act, 1960, Act 29. Particulars of offense. Rosemond Aled is A-L-A-D-E. I don't know whether it's Aledi or Aled. Brown, a.k.a. Akuapem Polo, on or before 30th June 2020, at Accra, in the Greater Accra region, published or caused to be published an obscene material, namely a nude photograph of yourself. Plea of accused person, not guilty. Count 2, statement of offense, engaging in domestic violence, namely conduct that in any way undermines another person's privacy or integrity, contrary to sections 1D, III, and 3.2 of the Domestic Violence Act 207, Act 732. Particulars of offense. Akuapem Polo, on or before 30th June 2020, at Accra in the Greater Accra region, published or caused to be published on social media an obscene material, namely nude photograph of yourself with Mohammed Mudassir, 7, a conduct that undermines the privacy and or integrity of that person. I don't want to repeat the name now. Now, plea of accused, not guilty. Count 3, statement of offense, engaging in domestic violence, namely conduct that in any way detracts or is likely to detract from another person's dignity and worth as a human being, contrary to section 1D, IV, and 3.2 of the Domestic Violence Act 2007. Then they give the particulars offense, then she says not guilty. So then followed the new procedure that we have adopted. We call it case management. So they now...
For the sake of time, if we could...
Yeah, so unlike previously, now all the evidence that the prosecution want to bring against the accused person, together with witnesses' statement, are served on the accused person. And if the accused person has any, also served. Then, subsequently, the case was adjourned to 14th April 2021. And before then, the accused person had been granted to bail, and she had actually stated that the child lives with the mother. It is in it. Then on that 14th, when the case was to start, she comes to court with the lawyer and says that I have changed my plea. And then the charges were read out to her, and each one of them she says, I'm guilty, I'm guilty, I'm guilty. And then the sentence followed. So
I want to take us back to Section 280 of the Criminal Code. On this is the law on which she was charged. This is
one of them.
One of them, where we talk about publication of obscene material. Lawyer Pong, hold on. Let me bring on Lawyer Sami Darko here. Lawyer Sami Darko, good afternoon to you, and thanks for joining us. Tell us, looking at Section 280 of the Act, what is the law concerned about? Obscenity or nudity? Is there any distinction at all? Okay, I'm told that he's off. But we're also joined by another lawyer and a senior journalist, Samson Ladi Ayenene. Samson, thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Yes. So, Samson, I also put this question to you. What's the law concerned about? Is it a matter of nudity or a matter of obscenity? And explain to us, educate us on what the difference is, if there's any.
Right. If you read the counts and the explanation to it, it's quite clear. It is talking about nude representations or photographs or images that have been published. So, obscenity. So it tells you that she's committed an offense of the publication. And let's remember something. People have a very huge misunderstanding, and when you talk to them, they don't want to listen, unless when they fall foul of the law and they are thrown in jail and they begin to cry. You see, the law is not particularly concerned about what you do in your private, what you do in your room. We have heard one musician, I cannot quote and repeat the things he has said here, and what he says, he shows his daughter in his room. And with Ghanaians, we have a certain population that follows him, youth that follow him, and they are listening to him and they are happy that he says those things. What he does in the privacy of his home, the law is not concerned about that. But once you put it out there, then this law catches you. So it says publication. Once there is publication and the material that has been published is that which is obscene. So the law, if you read the charge sheet, it says publication of obscene material. Then they say, what is the material? Nude images.
Samson, let me make an intervention here. So, is obscene interpreted to cover everything nude, any nude visual representation?
I've heard a suggestion about medical stuff, biological stuff. The law excludes things like that. That somebody says, then the biology book will not be put on sale or will not be used in the school. A doctor, a medical doctor, will be guilty of publication of obscene material. Yeah. Those who are saying so, they should read the law. The law is clear about it. It makes exception for such publications. So my point once again is that when the law is clear, there's no need for debate.
What's your opinion on the judgment? Do you say it's a sounding law?
I say, when I read this particular charge, the punishment is maximum of 3 years in jail. That's misdemeanor from 1 day to 3 years. If you read the two other charges, the maximum is 6,000 Ghana cedis, and or 2 years in jail. That is for each. So supposing that the judge's decision was that she has to suffer the maximum, what it means is that she could go to jail for seven years in total. And that 7 years could have included payment of money. If a judge uses the discretion, and the discretion includes to give her a fine, even for the misdemeanor, for the first charge, and it includes to caution, and it includes to bond you to be of good behavior. The judge has a range. The judge is seized with the facts. The judge is seized with the demeanor of the accused person before the court. I am not. And if that judge, in the wisdom, works within the law and says, instead of, I want to give you custodial, I'm not going to give you non-custodial. And the law allows the judge to say, I'll give you custodial. And in giving you custodial sentence, I want deterrence. Now, in giving it to you, I have the power to give you a total of 7 years. My decision is that I will give you 270 days. So in fact, in the judgment, she has been sentenced to 270 days. But the 270 days, I will not let you spend all of it. go and spend only 90 out of that.
Very well. So some leniency there.
That for me is a very lenient decision.
Very well. Samson, let me bring back lawyer Sami Darko. We have him also via Zoom, I believe. Good afternoon to you, and thanks for joining us. I'll put this to you. This is something I read from Professor Kweku Azar, who suggests that the law is being misinterpreted wrongly as far as the offense is concerned, and that there's a certain misunderstanding. He's saying that how it's being interpreted, how nudity or obscenity is being interpreted, it's as though they are the same thing. What's your take on that? Hello.
I think that with this particular case, it's become, how do you call it? It's become a spaghetti plate of emotions. And for me, we did not get the opportunity to see full case blown in court. It becomes so difficult to even analyze it because she was convicted on her own plea. If she had put up a defense, then we could have had the judge provide her reasons, whether she thought that whatever evidence they had. And I've said that even if they had 2 million nude pictures of her, I don't care. If I were going into this matter, I would have made sure that my client pleaded not guilty, because it's important, and this is not a straight liability offense. So the burden really is on the prosecution to show that indeed whatever they have presented to court is sufficient enough to warrant her conviction. And so, yes, I also agree with Prof when he says that we seem to mix obscenity with nudity. And there is a thin line for me between the two, obscenity and nudity, because obscenity, and this is where I also have another issue, because this case, we did not have the judge to give her own raising judgment on it, because she was convicted on her own plea. Other than that, she would have explained to us what is obscenity, or she would have quoted from precedent to show what is obscenity. But obscenity, if you are going to take the Black's Law Dictionary or even the Oxford Dictionary, is simply something which society abhors, something which is against our senses. And nudity is where you are unclothed. Now, as to when nudity becomes obscenity, I guess it's an issue of morality. So when I look at obscenity, the law 280, I'm looking more at morality. I'm looking at what is the standard of society.
Hello. I think we've lost him over there, but I'll come back to Lawyer Opong in the studio.
Right.
So he's hello, do we have Lawyer Darko to wrap up on his supposition? Okay. Lawyer Opong, so I'll come to you in the studio. I think we get a gist of what Lawyer Darko is saying, that there's a thin line, or there's a line between nudity and obscenity. The question I'll put to you is that in this case, in the case of Rosamond Brown, the picture that was put on display doesn't really show her private parts, so her breast or any other part of her body, as well as her son's. Looking at that picture with the caption was supposed to celebrate the 7th birthday, so this is a celebration of birth, of life, etc. Given that the act may be construed as criminal, would her intention, which she put on display, change anything?
Well, very much. We lawyers, we like Latin words. So there's something called mens rea. That is the intent with which you engage in an act, which act is prohibited by law. So the intent with which you engage in a legally prohibited act or conduct or behavior. You see, 280, section 280, if I remember correctly, is under the part in Act 29 that is titled Public Morality. So in discussing it, we should always remember that that part, and I'm saying if I remember correctly, and I hope I'm right, is under the caption or the title Public Morality. Now, the dictionary definition of obscenity, or what is obscene, is of the portrayal or description of sexual matters, offensive or disgusting by accepted standards of morality and decency.
And I like that, not to bust it, but I like that you bring the word offensive.
Yes.
Which is the point that Lawyer Darko was alluding to.
Yes.
Showing her nude side. Is that offensive? Does the society consider that offensive? A society that sells magazines of lingerie, women wear swimwear, go to the beach, to the poolside. Is that offensive?
You see, let's discuss this together with the other counts. You see, we are not even here talking about unknown persons or persons who some artists have taken an image of them and represented it. We are talking about a person who, in a life situation, with her child in a boxers, or we call it supporter, one way.
Very well
and
understood.
Posted it. You see, let's focus on the child as well, because that is what the Domestic Violence Act aspect is about. And also Article 28 of the Constitution also talks about it. The fact that parents have a natural right and obligation to ensure that in whatever they do, the welfare of the child and his development is paramount.
Very well.
Can you tell me, with all due respect, that what has happened on social media between this lady and the child, one would have done so for one's own child without the expression of revulsion?
Okay.
You see, so, okay, we'll
get into it,
right.
but I want to introduce another guest, Naomi Gold. Now, Naomi is what you call a nudist and a photo model. Naomi, welcome to Good Afternoon, Ghana. Good afternoon. Educate me, what's a nudist, or who is a nudist?
It's actually a career. Like me decided to be a model. They have the runway model and they have the lingerie model. And they have the nude one. But it's a career. It's not something serious that people should, you understand?
So in your career as a nudist, what really do you do?
What?
What do you do as a nudist? So you're modeling your body.
Yeah.
So, and how much do you expose, how much do you cover?
Sometimes you have to put on a jacket without nothing. And sometimes you have to put on probably like a pant and a bra.
Say that again, pardon
A
me.
pant and a bra.
Okay.
Or maybe like a nightgown, something like that. And sometimes it's nothing.
So I want to assume that if you have a nightgown or a bra and a panty, you'd be advertising those items. But when it's nothing, what will you be advertising then, or what will be the essence of that modeling?
The nude one is actually for creams, probably like for people who are selling creams. You can check some poster, probably like a cream, you see some naked girl there showing her skin. Yeah, that is what they use it for. And sometimes they use it for probably in the house, because some people use it to do like an ads. So.
But can we not sell creams without showing the entire body?
You know, all creams have that. Yeah, all creams have that.
How is it like for you, a young woman, living in a society that is seen as judgmental in this business?
It's not easy. It's not easy because people think that being a nude model is something forbidden here. But it's actually a career, just like the way runway is.
Okay, how does your family feel about it, your parents feel about being a nudist? Has it always been smooth, or there have been ups and downs?
My mom really didn't live her life here. She lived her life in the US. So she doesn't really, although she talks sometimes about it, but she has seen that it's actually a career. You understand? When she went and investigate more about it, she knows that it's a career. So what she just told me is that at first that it makes me happy.
So you show your face in your modeling?
Yeah.
And when you go out, do you get people recognizing you and treating you differently, acting funny around you?
Oh, where I'm not really an artsy type. I'm always in the house. But if I go out, I don't put on makeup. I just put on probably something casual or something like a long gown. So nobody will actually know that this is the girl.
Okay, so that's safe. And do you feel, nobody would know, but within the circles of the people you work with, do you feel safe? Because we live in a very sexualized society.
Yeah.
So if you're putting yourself out there, you must be concerned somebody may be watching you and planning in his or whatever.
It's just that if you are smart enough to like know who is the real person and the fake person, because being into this job, it's not something easy, because sometimes the photographer might actually like you and want to have something with you. So if you're smart enough to resist it, you're free.
Okay, my last question before I move to Captain Polo's lawyer, do you get a lot of sexual harassment in your work?
Not really.
Does it ever happen?
Because, not really, because I've like the people I hang out with is just people who are into this business.
So they're professional?
Yes.
Okay, okay. I'll return to you and get your views on all of this that is happening.
Okay.
Your perspective will be interesting, but we're joined by Andrew Cudjoe Vortia. He's the lawyer for Akuapem Polo, and we understand that an appeal is in the offing. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for joining us and hope you're well. What's the latest as far as your client is concerned, Akuapem Polo?
Pardon me?
I'm asking the latest as far as your client, Rosemond Brown, is concerned. We understand that there's an appeal coming soon.
Yeah, early this morning at around 11 o'clock, I filed a notice of appeal at the High Court, and by 12 o'clock, I filed another motion on notice for bail pending appeal. I would like to make some distinction. Akuapem Polo was charged with 1 count of publication of obscene material and 2 counts of engaging in domestic violence. So if anybody is making an argument on only count 1, you then take a critical look at the count 2 and count 3. I don't think anybody is applying their mind to count 2 and count 3. She was charged under Section 1D, Subsection 3, and Section 3 and 2. That's the count 2. Count 3, Section 1D, IV, and 3.2 of Act 732.
Sorry
So
to butt
she not
in.
only
Sorry to butt in, but we had a lawyer in studio read that. I'm also struggling to hear you a bit, but if you can hear me, I want to go back to the appeal you say you're filing. What are you expecting to come out of it?
Well, I went on only 2 grounds, and my 2 grounds are just simple. 1, that the custodial sentence of 90 days imposed on the appellant is harsh, considering all the mitigating factors at the trial. 2, that the trial judge ought to have considered imposing a non-custodial sentence as an appropriate punishment in the circumstance. 2 simple grounds.
Very well. I think we'll leave it here. Thank you very much. That's Andrew Cudjoe Vortia. He's lawyer for Akuapem Polo. And Lawyer Paul, you heard him talk about an appeal. What are your thoughts?
Quite a few. First of all, the appeal is not concerned with whether or not she is guilty. It's not concerned with the conviction. It's only concerned about the sentence.
The sentencing.
The punishment, in plain terms. And one that they believe that the punishment of 90 days for the 3 counts to run concurrently is harsh.
Okay.
And 2, and I think, well, I'll leave my comment for now. And then 2, that the sentence of 90 days, the custodial sentence of 90 days should have rather been a non-custodial sentence. For example, maybe payment of a fine, which the law permits. Because he has given us notice that it has been filed, we'll leave our comments on it for now.
Okay.
But then when we come to a few of the reasons why the judge gave the custodial sentence, or that sentence, I will just quickly take you through.
Very
This
well.
a copy of the judgment.
I'll take a copy after you, but very well.
Definitely. I mean, first of all, in imposing the appropriate sentence, this is the court. This court considered the following aggravating factors. I, the intrinsic seriousness of the offenses charged. I, the gravity of the offenses charged. The degree of revulsion felt by the law-abiding citizens of this country for the crimes committed. The premeditation with which the criminal plans were executed. The prevalence of the crimes within the Accra Metropolitan Assembly and the country generally. The sudden increase in the incidence of these crimes, the age of the accused's son, and the trauma he is going through in a society where counseling for victims of such criminal acts is almost non-existent. The court then goes on to also say that the fact that the accused person pleaded guilty to the offenses, thereby not wasting the time of the court, is also a factor. The accused person's apology on social media after the publication of the nude photograph together with her son, the accused person's show of remorse, the fact that the accused person has had no brush with the law, the fact that the accused person is a single parent and a mother to a 7-year-old child, and the fact that the accused person is the sole breadwinner of her family. And she gives binding Supreme Court judgments and other authorities in support of that. So for those who are saying that these matters were not taken into account, well, it is in the judgment. So it is in the totality of this that led the court, in her wisdom and within the law, to give 90 days. But see, some are confusing it to be 3 months. The two are different. I understand that if it were 3 months, every month will be less than 1 week. So eventually you will serve 2 months.
Okay.
But 90 days means 90 days. Each and every day will count until the 90th day, where then you'll be released. So let's see how the appeal and application for bail in particular will also play out.
Very well.
But just to say that first, let's continue to have full confidence in our court. We are lucky to have bold and fearless judges. We also admit that judges are humans. They may make mistakes. If you think our appeal will lie, you must exercise that right. But let's allow judges to do their job. And if you are dissatisfied like they have done, let them take the appropriate legal remedy and exhaust it. It's all well and good for us.
Very well. Parliament recently passed the Cyber Security Act 2020. It's supposed to sort of tackle or go after those who put nude pictures, sexually explicit pictures online. Now, I would want to get into the nitty-gritty because, for instance, Samson even raised the concern about...
My advice to you is that Samson is an expert in this one, so you can, if he's still on.
If he's still on. But before we get there, I'll come back to Naomi. Naomi, so with all of what is happening with actress Rosamond Brown, aka Akuapem Polo, what's your take? What's your take as a nudist with all that is going on?
I don't really know what to say, but I think they need to leave her because I know it's really evil. Like you people think that it's not supposed to happen that way, but I think she's just, you know,
she's just trying to survive.
Yes.
You feel sorry for her. Loyal Paul, I'll still come back to you. It appears that not just the state, but the society really wants to deal with this because not only is Section 280 there to address this, which is what we're seeing, there's the Cyber Security Act 2020 that says that you shouldn't publish indecent images. tell us, what is this Cyber Security Act going to do as far as putting it in context, the context of this conversation?
You see, first of all, we have to remember that Act 29 was passed sometime in the year 1960, and then a few other acts. But over the years, we have come to realize that because of the astronomical change in technology and our way of life, that act in 1969 couldn't have anticipated most of the things we are seeing now. So we passed the Domestic Violence Act, for example, in 2007 to take care of part of what we are seeing today. And now the Cyber Security Act. Now, you know that internationally, we until now had not looked very good in the eyes of those who are concerned with cyber security. So sometimes we are blacklisted when it comes to transfer of money and other securities. And so Parliament had to come out. In fact, it's one of those acts that took Parliament for a very long time because the punishment for violation is very high indeed.
Up
and some
to
may
25
yes,
years
some may call it harsh.
30,000 to 60,000.
But you will see that sometimes you are not on, I mean, there are people who are not on social media. You get a call. Oh, you are trending. Go and see what they are saying about you. And they know you have no opportunity to even respond on social media. And so, in fact, in Ghana, I think one of our seniors sued someone who had made such publication, even pretending to be a non-existent person, but a pseudo person, if you like. And he got judgment. So then the law had to be passed so that, especially against women, when people will have sexual relationship with you, they take your nude pictures and then turn around to want to use it
what they
to
call
blackmail.
revenge porn.
Revenge porn. Well, to blackmail you. And the good thing is that the law has now taken care of this. So people should also be bold enough to make these things known. They should report it, because I think it's one of the laws that have far-reaching deterrent effects.
But the interesting thing about this law is the other aspect of when somebody willingly, so for instance, a nudist in her job puts her own nudes there, or a Kwiapempolo to celebrate her son's birthday puts her nudes there, right? And isn't this then being a bit harsh?
No, it's not, because you see, then
because that's their trade.
But because then you say that it's somebody's business. Somebody owns his life. Somebody owns his one CD. So if he tears them to pieces or burns the CD, why must he be arrested? It is his own life. Allow him to kill himself.
Okay.
You don't own your life. And what the law protects, that is why it is not so much concerned about what you do in the closet of your home, in your privacy, as Samson perfectly highlighted. It is concerned with an act that corrupts, that is morally offensive. You see, not only to in fact, not only to yourself and even the Ghanaian society, but internationally. We must create an image to the whole world. People's views about morality vary, even in this country. But there are things that are generally accepted. I mean, if you want to engage...
Well, let me just come in a bit. I would want to go for a break. It's interesting that you talk about you don't own yourself. That's also because you're owned by the state. That's very interesting. And some people will find that a bit difficult because you bear all the costs to survive, and the state...
But you have no right to kill yourself, for example.
Exactly. That's the interesting thing. What I want to ask you when I come back is that with this new law and the current law, anyway, the 1960, which is being used in Kwiapempolo's situation, whether or not, I want to find out whether or not you are concerned about your line of work and what the future is like for you. But I'll take a break. When we come back, we'll continue. Welcome back to Good Afternoon, Ghana. Just before the break, we were discussing the 2020 Cybersecurity Act. I'm joined on the line by Samson Ladi Ayenene, a lawyer and a senior journalist. Samson, quickly, let's take your view on the Cybersecurity Act 2020, particularly the part that punishes the publication of indecent images on the internet.
Look, in the case we are discussing now, if what she had done it after the 23rd of December of last year, they would have charged her under this law, and she would have been looking potentially to get a fine of minimum 30,000, or up to 60,000, or in addition to that, or alternatively, she could have gotten at least 5 years. 5. Let's see who would have been shouting what law has done what. 5 years, or she could have gone in for beyond 5 to 10 years or so. Now, this one, the new one, and you have heard me say, I don't know why anybody will get into that foolishness. And then when they get into trouble, then they are crying. Why would you want to take your nude picture and put it out there? And look, law is intended to order the society we live in. Yeah. So as you mentioned, yes, you own yourself, so to speak, but you live within a society, and your private interests must be subsumed to our collective well-being and interests as well. So sometimes that is how the law works. I don't know why anybody would like to take someone's indecent or nude picture and threaten them that if you don't pay me X amount, I would put it out there in the public. So this law says if you did that, you will not have the option of paying a fine. You don't have the option of paying a fine. Just by threatening, just the threats, no more, you will go to jail for at least 1 year, or maximum 3 years. And then if you wanted to extort money and you actually took the photograph and you were seeking to, or video or whatever it is, and you are seeking to extort money from that woman you may have slept with and recorded or something, you will go to jail for 10 years minimum. There's no option of a fine, or you will go for 25 years. And that's why I ask myself, how foolish that you've gone to have an affair with someone. You have taken a video together or something, and then you walk out there and then you say, if you don't give me this, I will publish it. Or somebody else happens to have given you the image, and you want to put it out there. Now, just trying to threatening them to do it, you could go to jail for it. And if you put it out also, you could go to jail for it. And this law is so comprehensive that, unlike this situation, I've heard people say, how about the guy who took the photograph? Well, whoever took the photograph is not the one who did the publication. The law is about the publication.
Very well,
so
Samson.
The publicist is the one who is in trouble. But in this new law, the one who took the photograph, the one who allowed the photograph to be taken, the one whose computer was used, if you got it and you also circulated it, the fact that you have also been a conduit for all of it, all of you will be put together. And the law's primary aim is to protect children, girls. Girls are being groomed. And like this lady, you are talking about, she lives in a Ghanaian society. The society must have what it wants. The society must not be such that because she wants to have sex in that studio right there, she should be allowed.
Samson, no. Very well. The society plays a role in here. How about, and I asked this question because of one of our guests whose job it is to be a nudist or a photo model. How about those who are in the business of modeling lingerie, bathing suits, sometimes even body cream, and so they have to go nude? How about the example you yourself alluded to? How does the law, take all of this into consideration?
We know we live in a world that says sex sells. look, let's not get into a mind that is depraved. These days, some of the things we see, yes, my morality is not the same as yours, but we have a whole society, and the law says, don't bring yours to sort of corrupt mine. If you are doing it in your private, that is fine. But like I said, some of the preaching I'm hearing suggests as though if anybody got up today and said, I'm sitting in your studio and I want to have sex there, I should be allowed to have it there. Because after all, it's my body. And what I want to do is what I do with it. That is wrong. You don't need to be nude to sell lingerie. You don't have to be nude to do it.
Okay.
You can do it and do it decently.
Very well. That's Samson Ladia Yenine giving his views there. I'll come back to you, Naomi. So I wanted to find out, so what does this law mean for your business? Does it mean you're going to be out of business? That's a possibility.
I don't know.
You're speechless. But yeah. for those who criticize other people publishing their nude pictures, and their point is that you live in a society. You cannot do as you please. You have to take into consideration everybody else's rights, you know, their sensibilities. So why can't you take that into consideration?
Actually, it's like, and also there's money in it. And at the same time, he was saying that putting on a legging indecently, but you know, you have to put on a legging, which is something like a pant and a bra. So it's not, we are not corrupting the younger ones. We are not. But if the younger ones decide to be a model or decide to be an artist, everyone has their choice. You understand? So it's a choice. It's not something that it's.
If you had if in the next few years you had a child, a daughter,
yeah,
and she came to you and said that she would want to be a nudist as well, would you be okay with that?
She made a choice. She made a choice. If she decide, but it's not okay. Nude model is not that we only do nude. No, it's not always you see most like nude on, and normally we always cover our boobs. So, which means the tummy and the lap has to show. But if you're putting on a pants and a bra, you have to stand well and take a pic. So if my daughter says she wants to be a model, she can't just be a nude model.
Okay.
Yeah.
Leopold, I'll come to you. An interesting, I'll take your brief comments, but an interesting aspect or twist is something called Snapchat, where we understand that there's a lot going on beyond nudity and putting, you know, sexy pictures there. There's actually prostitution, for want of a better word, going on, where people display the nude pictures and then they put a link there. Men most of the time will pay, and then they can, you know, click on the link and continue. In light of this, how should Act 2020, Cybersecurity Act 2020, tackle these kind of things then? This is a bit of an extreme.
Well, but the law anticipates all that, but it is without the participation of the general public, the law itself won't work. I mean, so that if you are aware that there is such a link, all you need to do is to report it to the appropriate state institution like the police. They will investigate and satisfy themselves whether or not that act or behavior is prohibited by any law, including the Cybersecurity Act. So it is for us, and of course, if there are no participants, these things will die, natural death. But since there are participants and humans being who we are, we get attracted to such matters. But it is for the general public to ensure that they have reported these matters. I heard that since the judgment came out in this case, quite a number of people have started deleting their half-nude or whatever nude pictures from social media.
Is that a good thing?
That is the regulations that Samson was talking about.
Just quickly, do you agree, Naomi?
Well,
are you going to delete your pictures as well?
My pictures is not complete nude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to draw the curtains here, but before that, I'd like to read some messages. And my producer, Henry Bedu, put together some behind the scenes, which will come on after. But just quickly, let me go through. So this is from Mandela, Nelson Mandela in Brekum. He says, hello, Metro TV. You're doing a good job. Keep it up. And another person who didn't send their name, says, I remember Naomi. Okay, we'll leave it here, but thank you very much. Thank you, lawyer.
Just say one word.
Okay.
Just
okay,
from
in
what
20
the court
seconds.
said, that this court is saddened by the current development of the citizenry posting their nude pictures on the internet and wonder what has become of our society. And that this is the time for the court in particular to act. To act.
We'll leave it there. This is the time for the court to act. I'm Francisca Kakra-Forson. Thank you so much, Naomi and lawyer Opong, for joining us. And thank you for watching. This has been Good Afternoon, Ghana. Bye-bye.